When people think of the Second World War, they often imagine the vast battlefields of Europe, the jungles of the Pacific, or the skies filled with bombers. Yet an equally important story played out far from the front lines, in the homes, villages and countryside, where ordinary people faced extraordinary threats. Air raids, rationing, sabotage, and the looming fear of invasion forced civilians to turn their homes into miniature fortresses of resilience. The ingenuity developed during these years is often overlooked, but the lessons remain powerful today. For today's homesteaders or anyone interested in self-reliance, these strategies hold striking relevance. They show us how ordinary families protected themselves, defended their resources, and endured under the constant pressure of uncertainty. As we explore them, it becomes clear that the past is not so distant, and the strategies born in war can still strengthen our homesteads in peace. One of the most pressing concerns for households during wartime was the security of their food. With shipping lanes disrupted and imports cut, Britain, for example, faced the real danger of starvation. The government urged civilians to grow their own food through the famous Dig for Victory campaign. Lawns, parks, and even bomb craters were converted into vegetable plots. Families learned to rotate crops, compost kitchen scraps, and preserve food through canning, pickling, and root cellaring. But beyond simply growing food, people also had to protect it. Families hid supplies in basements, buried stores in gardens, or built simple concealment cupboards to safeguard against theft or shortages. For today's homesteaders, the message is twofold. Producing food is essential, but so is ensuring its protection. You know, having a system of preservation and discreet storage really makes your homestead more resilient against disruptions. Whether they come from economic downturns, supply shortages, or natural disasters, a well-prepared homestead can make all the difference. In cities across Europe, particularly in Britain and Germany, blackout regulations were strictly enforced. At night, every window had to be covered with thick curtains or boards to prevent light from escaping. Even the smallest glow could guide enemy bombers overhead. Families adapted by mastering the art of concealment. They used heavy fabrics, sandbags, and improvised shutters, ensuring their homes blended into the darkness. For the modern homestead, the lesson isn't about hiding from aircraft, but rather about the principle of controlling visibility. In times of crisis, whether facing looters during disasters or simply striving for privacy, being able to limit what outsiders can see into your home and property becomes vital, doesn't it? Blackout curtains, concealed lighting, and careful placement of storage areas echo the wartime methods. Concealment builds security, not through aggression, but through discretion. As the threat of invasion loomed over Britain in 1940, civilians were encouraged to prepare their own defences. Manuals circulated describing how to reinforce windows with sandbags, erect makeshift barricades, or strengthen doors with additional bracing. Entire communities organised local defence groups, with farmers and tradesmen pooling tools and resources. Even schools taught children how to take cover and respond to emergencies. Modern homesteaders can learn much from these measures. Reinforcing entry points, creating fallback shelters within a home, and having tools ready to repair damage are timeless strategies. The materials may differ today, but the principle remains the same. Preparation deters threats. You know, even simple improvements like reinforced locks, secure storage areas, or having designated safe spaces really echo the resilience of wartime households. It's a testament to how folks adapted bit by bit to whatever challenges came their way. During the Second World War, communication was, well, honestly, a lifeline. Families relied on neighbourhood wardens, community signals, and organised patrols to stay informed of dangers. Air raid sirens, whistles, and even coded knocks became ways to alert others quickly. And, beyond just warning about bombs, communities kept vigilant against spies and saboteurs, making sure no suspicious activity went unnoticed. For a modern homestead, communication still remains a cornerstone of defence. Radios, walkie-talkies and local networks, they all provide information when larger systems fail. It's that sense of preparedness, really, that carries through the generations. Community watch groups, even on an informal level, enhance security by spreading responsibility. The wartime emphasis on vigilance and shared duty reminds us that isolation weakens while cooperation strengthens. A single home can defend itself for a time, but a network of families creates lasting resilience. Scarcity defined the home front. Materials were rationed, supplies dwindled, and families often had to make do with whatever was at hand. Out of this came remarkable improvisations. Old bed frames were repurposed into barricades. Tin cans became makeshift stoves, water filters, or even alarm systems. People developed the skill of repairing and reusing nearly everything they owned, knowing that replacements were not guaranteed. The enduring lesson for today is resourcefulness. A homestead that depends entirely on store-bought solutions is vulnerable, but one that cultivates skills of improvisation, repair, and creative adaptation mirrors the resilience of wartime households. Being able to transform ordinary objects into defensive tools or survival aids turns scarcity into strength. In every generation, adaptability is the true measure of preparedness. You know, the strategies used by families during the Second World War were really born out of necessity. Yet their relevance today, well, it extends far beyond any looming threat of conflict. They teach us quite plainly that security begins at home, not through reliance on authorities, but through preparation, vigilance, and a fair bit of ingenuity. Protecting food supplies, concealing vulnerabilities, fortifying structures, maintaining communication, and fostering resourcefulness, these are honestly timeless principles. You know, history shows us that survival is not only about weapons or armies, but about the quiet determination of ordinary households. Families who blacked out their windows, dug vegetable plots, and repurposed scrap metal were as vital to victory as the soldiers on the front lines. Their wisdom is not just a historical curiosity, but really a guidebook for modern resilience. As we face our own challenges in an uncertain world, whether they come in the form of natural disasters, economic instability, or social unrest, the lessons of WWII home defense strategies remind us of the power of preparation and unity. The past speaks directly to the present, showing that ingenuity and resolve can carry us through the hardest times. The story of WWII home defense is not merely about bunkers, sandbags, or blackout curtains. It's about people who refused to be helpless. They turned their homes into strongholds of endurance, using creativity and cooperation as their greatest weapons. Today's homesteaders, history enthusiasts, and self-reliant families can draw strength from this legacy. The wisdom forged in war remains a light for peace, showing us how to build homes that are secure, adaptable, and resilient. If you enjoyed uncovering these forgotten strategies and want to learn more about the ingenuity of the past, make sure to subscribe to In the Beginning. Share this with others who value the lessons history still has to teach, and let us keep alive the knowledge that has safeguarded generations.